Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Tuesday. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame. One thing we noticed here in the previous session was a failure to hold above the previous week's high price. That's one thing we talked about here was previous week's highs right there, and up to that point price had developed a very narrow 22% of ADR range above that high. Mentioned in the pre-market video, if we fail back below 47.05s, that opens up a return back down. And to reject the previous high and close of the week, that would open up the previous week's midpoint, and we are still on our way toward that target. That target is about 46.25s, 46.21s. So we still have more downside toward about that target, which would be about right in this area for the week. Again, it could reach it today, it could reach it tomorrow. But one thing to keep in mind is we do have our next FOMC key level tomorrow. So the Fed is on deck tomorrow, FOMC meeting, statement, and the rate decision. What we talked about here last week was, wouldn't it be something here if our last FOMC key level, 1103, is a magnet for price this week as it gets the next release of the new level. That would be something. So again, we're working our way down toward that level right now. Again, 46.21s is the previous week's midpoint. If we take a look here at the NQ, you'll see similar price action as well. A rejection yesterday above the previous highs. That led to a bearish outside day down. Early strength has been sold now, and we've seen selling pressure here come into play. Overall, this move down right now has taken us back to the FOMC key level from November 3rd. And that's the 16K, 968.5. And again, ahead of the FOMC key level tomorrow, we may see at some point here a strong low develop, and we might bounce back and hold. Until then, it appears that we are in full-on price discovery mode, and at the moment we are already below the 16K previous week's midpoint. And if there's a failure to get back above 16K, perhaps there's a continuation all the way back to the previous week's low, and that'll take you all the way back toward the 15,565s. Alright, let's take a look here at crude oil. Alright, here's crude oil. When we last left off with crude oil, we had a very narrow 5-day developing range, and now that 5-day developing range has turned to 6 days. You can see down here that is 32% of average with just 3.82 points. It's been averaging about 10.8 points on an average 6-day range basis. Now again, based off of the compression we're seeing right now and the downward trend here, are we about to see another push downward? One that could take us back to the previous month's close, or even perhaps new lows. That's one thing to keep in mind. Now, one thing we mentioned yesterday is if we do see a downside break here and a strong rejection develops, that could be used as a strong pivot low for a continuation toward our 75.52 target, which was and still is our current swing target from this major low. So right now, compression phase, 6-day narrow range. We could see some weakness here if this thing can break down, but any downside break, I'd be watching for signs of rejection. Alright, let's take a look lastly at gold futures here. Gold right now kind of hovering around the flat line. You can see right here, hovering around the flat line of the previous month's close, and it's just been very narrow. No ball game really to speak of here. I believe this is day 9 in a row here for this one, maybe day 10. But for the most part, you can see how compressed it is. Very, very narrow, with the potential to see about 80 points of breakout range at some point. 80 to 100 points easily. So continue to watch this range as it develops. Avoid the chop in the middle of the range. Once we do see expansion, it could be a very solid move very quickly. Until then, look to avoid the chop. All right, that's it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.